Welcome to In the Studio on Davis Media Access. I'm Tim Gaffney. Well, here in Davis, we are very fortunate to enjoy a rich music scene. And one of the organizations helping to make that possible is the Davis Oddfellows, which hosts a monthly series of live music in its downtown lodge. And here to tell us more about Thursday Live at the Oddfellows is Kurt Rogley. He's co chair of the Davis Oddfellows Music Committee. Kurt, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Tim.
So, give us a quick rundown. Is this a single band? Do you have a group of bands? What does a typical program look like on Thursday evenings?
Well, we've been doing this for 10 years or more, and we've had over 100 shows, and it varies. When we first started out, we wanted to have shows where local musicians could come, have a place to perform um, in town at a reasonable hour from 7:30 to 10, something like that, so people wouldn't have to go out to bars or travel to Sacramento or whatnot to watch their favorite band. That worked. So when we started out, that was our main idea. But gradually, more and more bands wanted to play. So we solicited bands from a little bit wider area. So that what we have today is a kind of a focus on Americana, roots music, acoustic music. We tend to shy away from rock and roll power trios and that kind of thing. We've discovered what our audience likes, and we try to satisfy that demand. So typically, our music is, as I said, more or less acoustic based, but it can be electric as well. I mean, there'll be steel guitars and electric guitars and so on in there. The the word has gotten around so that there are bands from the wider area, the Bay Area, the North Bay, Sacramento, the foothills, and so on. And bands are eager to play at the Oddfellows Hall because we have a really, really good vibe. We have an audience that's very appreciative, and we have a great hall. We have a lot of good volunteers, so it's a wonderful event all around. Excuse me. The next band we have is a duo from, I think, Ashland, and
Uh-huh.
um, so I encourage everybody to come
Great.
out and hear some good music from Ashland.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, the Davis Oddfellows does a number of different things. It's a service organization and I believe, is one of the largest lodges in the United States. Can you tell me a little bit about, among all the things that Davis Oddfellows could be doing, why did it choose uh, to include this on its plate?
Excuse me, you're right. Oddfellows does a lot of things. Our lodge is probably not only the largest in the U.S., probably the largest lodge in the world. We have over 350 members. Dang, excuse me. Um, we decided when I first joined about 10, 12 years ago, Julie and I, we had a beautiful hall. I'm a musician, and we thought this would be a great place to have music. And the idea was we could get people to know what the Oddfellows were and where the hall is. Um, I, like many other people, had lived in town for years and years and years. I'd seen the Oddfellows building, but had no idea what Oddfellows did. Um, and so our initial idea was to have a music festival which would both serve the community and also get people aware of Oddfellows, who we are, what we do, and what goes on at the hall. We do a lot of events. We have, as a matter of fact, upcoming in a couple of weeks, February 3rd or 4th, sorry, on Sunday, we have a chocolate festival. So lots of people are going to come to this chocolate festival. We expect maybe 300 people. We have music, we have a chocolate fountain, we have vendors that are going to be selling goods and sampling, giving things out for samples and so on. And that money goes to serve under privileged kids in town for
Mhm.
summer events, activities. We also have Zombie Bike Parade, where we raise money to have bicycles made for children that are have special needs. We have Taste of Davis. We have Breakfast with Santa Claus. We have all kinds of events, and the focus of the events is either to raise money for a charity, which we're always looking for, but also to serve the community by offering events that uh, uh, we all have a good time at. New Year's Eve, for example. Every other year, we have a New Year's Eve show where people can come. They don't have to drive a long way. They can take an Uber or even walk to the hall and have a great time. So our idea is really to serve the
Right.
community in as many ways as we
That's
can.
great. And
Yeah.
in terms of the particular decision to host the Thursday night music program, I guess is somewhat of an accident, a fortunate accident that you and Julie happened to come along because of your love of music, and then make that part
Yeah,
of the
there were
offerings.
people in the lodge that liked music and had attempted something like that. But I had, being a musician, I knew a lot of fellow musicians, and I sort of had access to the music community that other people in the lodge didn't have at the time. And
Right.
it's worked out fabulously well. I can't tell you how excited I am that it all worked out.
Yeah.
All the money that
Uh,
is donated goes to the musicians for Thursday Live, with a few exceptions. We have some events where we donate the money to particular charity, but
mhm.
maybe I've lost the thread of the question here. I don't
No,
know. Am I
that's
answering
wonderful.
your
That's
question?
wonderful. Absolutely. Just talking about the decision. And by the way, this reminds me, your commitment to music extends even beyond this, because if I recall correctly, you are also one of the venues, or one of the stages, for the Davis Live Music Collective's
Yep.
music festival.
That's right. We're one of the few larger indoor venues that they can have, and we've been working with them almost since the inception to try to serve,
Mhm.
to work with all the other people. There's Davis Live Music Collective. There's also people in town that put on house concerts. And so we all work together with Watermelon Music and so on to try to make music live and viable here in Davis. When I was here years and years ago, I've been living here for a long time. There were a lot of bars in town where people could go and listen to music, but that scene has kind of diminished some, and we're trying to take up the slack. So the hope is that
Right.
musicians can come down there and have a good time and play and see others play, and the people in the community can come down. And all the volunteers at Oddfellows work for free. We supply the hall, so musicians love to come here because they have there's an audience that loves to listen to good music, is very attentive, very appreciative, and we don't charge any money at the door. It's all donation only. So if you can come and you can put some money in the pot, that's great. If you can't, you're still welcome to come down and listen to some good music. We have good beer. So it's a win-win-win. Everybody wins, and it's just a good vibe all
Yeah.
around. The musicians that play here love it for all those reasons.
Yeah, well, I think you've partially answered my next question, but it just kind of in the big picture, what do you think it is about Davis? Why is, I mean, you mentioned that the bar scene is sort of fallen off as a spot for music, but in general, we do seem to be very supportive of music here, whether it's this or the music festival each summer. What is it? Are we just lucky to have musicians in the area, lucky to have the audience we do, lucky to have the venues like yours?
I think it's a combination of all those things. We have really fabulous world class musicians that still are in Davis, play in Davis, and many that have gone on um, to greater fame and glory. We have an educated, musically diverse group of people that are interested in various kinds of music to some degree. It's not, I mean, there's precious little, I think, hip hop and so on in town, which there should be more of. But um, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I would like to think that some of the credit goes to the musicians willing to play at places like the Hall with no guarantee of money, or no guarantee of a particular amount of money. They're taking a chance on playing and devoting their talents and their efforts to help the community appreciate their music. But we also have developed over the course of years an audience that is unbelievably generous. I'm absolutely convinced that we make much more money by the system we've got now, which is, hey, if you've got some and you enjoy the music, put it in the pot. If you don't have any, or you can't afford it, or you're on limited income, just sit back and enjoy the music and have a good time. We make more money. The musicians make more money doing that than any other way. So it's just a wonderful symbiotic relationship between the community, the Odd Fellows, and the musicians.
And one other thing that just made me think of, I hadn't thought of this ahead of time, but this just occurred to me. Um, Going back to one of my original questions about describe a typical event and describe the vibe. Uh, are these the sort of events where people sit in their seats and listen to the music, or are these the sort of events where you got a group up at the front with, if not a mosh pit, at least some sort of
Oh yeah,
dancing going on up near the
we
stage?
have all that. It depends on the music, you know. Um, the generally the louder, more rockish type of music is you find at Davis Music, a live collective, their events. Um, but we always, if we have a band that's doing rockabilly, or a band that's doing blues or whatnot, or R&B, we make plenty of room up front where people can dance. As a matter of fact, at our last gig in December, we had a band a local band called the Green Grass Snakes that played. They played the Beatles' Rubber Soul album, and they played a lot of songs from that era. They played some from Abbey Road, and the place was just rocking. We had more people than that could fit in the room, dancing up front, having a great time. But there's plenty of places to sit and just watch the music too. You can hang out in the back
Mhm.
and have a beer. Um, we have all kinds of events, and there are other events where it's a little more, sit down and listen to what's being played here, because it's really it's worth being quiet and listening. So it's kind of like the Palms, I think, in one respect. When the Palms
Okay.
went moved, and then their ultimate demise in Winters, we felt the urge to kind of take up the slack a little bit. We don't have shows
Oh,
as often as they did, and we don't charge money the way they did, but we have quality people. We have an audience that comes down. A lot of times they've never heard the music. Sometimes we haven't even actually heard the band play, but it's going to be good, because we have a tradition of putting on good music. So the crowd comes down. They don't know exactly what it's going to be, but they know it's going to be good. And I would say they always end up happy and satisfied that we put on another good show.
well, I am extremely happy and satisfied from our conversation now, Kurt, and you've gotten me very excited about the events, and I hope other people are feeling the same way. I think it's shown on the bottom of the screen, or has been shown at some point. But for more information, patrons can go to davislodge.org, and then there's a drop down menu for events, an events tab,
Yeah.
where people can find out more about this event and the others that you mentioned. By the way, I noticed something you hadn't mentioned, but was on that drop down list. The film festival is
Yeah.
the Oddfellows still hosting that as well?
Oh yeah, we have, so let me backtrack just a little bit. Um, the Oddfellows is an organization that's been around for several hundred years. It started in England, and it's really a philanthropic organization where we try to do good for the community. Um, our lodge in Davis is 100. It's over 150 years old, 170 years old, I think.
Mm.
We not 150 years old. We started in 1870, so I don't know. You do the math on that. We're older than the city itself, actually. When
Mm.
Davis Oddfellow started, it was Davisville. Um, we do all kinds of things. We have a film festival twice a year. We have it's classic films. Derek Bang, who is the local
Mhm, mhm.
film critic, talks about the film. We watch the film. There's free popcorn. Once again, it's donation only. If you can't afford to come, well, you can afford to come because it's free. But if you want to put some money in there, that's great.
Right.
Um, so
Oh,
there's every month there are 3 or 4 or 5 events. I encourage everyone to check out what the Oddfellows do. It's a great organization. And I wanted to say one last thing. We've talked about the music community and the audience and so on. But the people I work with at Oddfellows are absolutely fantastic. They put a lot of work in year after year, day after day, hour after hour, and they do it all for the love of the community. Nobody gets paid, nobody gets any fame or glory. So I would encourage anyone out there listening who wants to have a good time, wants to meet with some great people, consider checking out the Oddfellows. I think you're going to have a wonderful time. We have judges and doctors and lawyers and teachers and just about everybody you can imagine pulling together to serve the community.
Great. Well, Kurt, thank you so much. Thanks for giving us the skinny on Thursdays live at the Oddfellows, and as well as sharing so much more information about the lodge here in Davis. Now, again, the next
Well,
program for Thursday Live will be February 1st. That's a Thursday, of course, as the title suggests. Thursday
February
Live,
1st.
Thursday, February 1st. Doors open at 7:01 for a 7:31 start, and we'll have
One
to leave
button
this for
suit.
another time to ask you why you have it at 01 and 31, but we'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, we're Oddfellows.
Yeah. Okay, Kurt, thank you so much. And I'm Tim
Thanks,
Gaffney.
Tim.
You've been watching In the Studio on Davis Media Access.